and to talk to you a little bit more just about why video is magic, but also complex. These file formats and the intensity of these files are very different than working in a static workflow. These files are very heavy. The average video file will be 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x the size of a static. And they command a lot more processing power, and they take a lot more energy to move around as you're working through a work in progress workflow and as you're working through a storage workflow. These workflows tend to also be multi-tenant. And so these workflows tend to not be done by a single person, but files need to move seamlessly around. And so the systems that we work in have to easily be able to accommodate each of those different elements. And the creative software that powers each of those, while a lot of it's done within an Adobe or an Avid ecosystem, there are different services that need to be performed on that content. So keeping it all contained within one DAM or MAM typically is not the case. We need to be flexible to work within the practitioner's ecosystem. We also have massively complex resizes. So DAMs today are magical at doing auto cropping and being able to resize for all the different sizes. And I swear the ad industry is just rethinking, and e-commerce are just rethinking new ways to do different sizes. And in the area of video, it's more important than ever for audio description, on-screen captioning. And then remember, beyond accessibility requirements that exist in Europe and in North America and in other emerging markets around the world, we also have best practices for many of the platforms on which we convert many of our leads. We also have way denser output specs, and so we need to be able to process way faster. And so in the old days, we used to have these things called render farms, where you would literally, there would be separate computing power off-site from your main system that would support the processing necessary. Now, processing has improved as Moore's law has taken over, and you could see a lot more processing happening in the cloud and near to the storage. But you've got to think about video being at least 29 times as heavy and probably way heavier than that because of the file structure. Not to mention that the folks who produce video are now working in 4K. Teresa showed a little bit of that, and 8K. And so you've got much, much heavier files. So approvals and workflows, 29 times as many frames for people to give comments on. So if you have a static frame and people want to circle where they go, but now you've got to think about, I've got 29 frames of that. And then increasingly, we're working with 3D and CGI files in mixed animation and in-camera video workflows. And handling 3D files is not something that every DAM system was intended to do. Many of them are making great progress in handling those files so that you can actually see the 3D imageries and work with the models.